The year is 1992, and if you wanted to enjoy some cool images and behind-the-scenes tidbits of the latest Alien movie, it's not as if you could simply log on to social media and have them waiting for you like today. Things were certainly different 30-plus years ago, but not without their own charms. Sure, you could find some great stuff in magazines, you could wait for specials on TV, or enjoy the Dark Horse Comics adaptation, but one surefire way to get a quick fix on the latest franchise films would be through trading cards. There was a time when the trading card reigned supreme, and we saw Alien 3 get a pretty thorough treatment in the early 90s. To coincide with the film's release, StarPix produced an 80-card collection that had some unique features to complement the new movie. There were the image cards with descriptions, as per usual, and behind-the-scenes images going into the making of the film, along with some information on the footage scrapped from the troubled production. The set even came with its own original comic story spread over multiple cards. One of the most interesting and novel traits of this collection was in the images and descriptions from the movie itself. Instead of simple descriptions, the conceit was to play the entire collection out as a series of datalogs written by Ripley. We get insight into Ripley's own thoughts during the experiences on the prison planet, and a timeline of events, to the best possible approximations, is laid out. What we see in Alien 3 occurs over the course of about 3 days, and the datalogs give us updates nearly hour to hour. I thought this timeline might be worth taking a closer look at, so let's explore Ripley's datalogs of her experiences on Furina Fury 161. Date and time unknown. All seemed well. Hicks's injuries were serious, but not critical, and Bishop was in need of major repair. But we were finally heading home. Our ship, the Sulaco, was fully operational when Hicks, Newt, Bishop, and I entered the cryotubes for an unknown length of hypersleep. But it didn't stay that way. In hypersleep, light years are condensed into human seconds, and all is peaceful. None of us were aware of the chaos going on in the ship's bulkhead. The Sulaco's sprinkler system must have automatically activated to contain an onboard fire. Our cryotubes were ejected into the EEV. But a fire may not have been the only danger on board. 0700 hours, day 1. I don't know how long the emergency evacuation vehicle had been hurtling through space before it made a crash landing on an unusual planet. If I had decompressed too quickly coming down through the atmosphere, I would become violently ill. But it could have been worse. The EEV crashed on the planet Furina 161, a Class C prison facility. I was unconscious when Medical Officer Clemens rescued me from the wreckage. He had told me the others didn't make it. Hicks and Newt died in the crash. Bishop was damaged beyond repair. 0800 hours. Each prisoner at the Weyland-Yutani prison facility had a shaved head bearing some kind of prison code. There were only 25 prisoners left on this planet, all men. Apparently, Furina 161 was once a 1,000 convict work prison, but now it's a long-forgotten wasteland. 1000 hours. I demanded to see Newt. Medical Officer Clemens led me to the morgue to view her body. He said Newt had drowned in her cryotube when the ship malfunctioned. Her body was intact, but I had to find out for sure exactly how she died. Clemens would have to perform an autopsy on Newt's body. 1200 hours. The bodies of Newt and Hicks had to be cremated. I insisted on it. Andrews, Clemens, and the others reluctantly went along with my demand. They conducted a makeshift funeral service on the catwalk over the prison's huge furnace, and when the bodies were dumped into it, I lost my composure. 0200 hours, day 2. An alien grows in a living organism, then explodes from its chest. A chest burster. If it was gestating inside Newt or Hicks, then this would be the end of the species. But if an alien somehow got inside someone or something else, an alien can develop very quickly. I've seen chestbursters grow with amazing speed, shedding their skin with each phase of development. After the chestburster phase comes the quadruped phase, the four-legged creatures. They always seem to be growing and eating. 0400 hours. Andrews announced that prisoner Murphy was killed by a strong rush of air that pulled him into the huge exhaust fan in vent shaft 17. But I didn't get a chance to investigate. Clemens wouldn't allow it. Clemens did say that he found a burn mark near the site. Could that mean... Murphy was a victim of the alien, Not a freak accident. I'm almost sure of it. What else could cause such a burn mark in solid concrete? It had to be from the acid aliens spit at their victims just before the attack. 0800 hours. I finally found Bishop, or rather part of him, buried in a mound of rusting debris. Back at the infirmary, I was able to connect Bishop's battery pack to the flight recorder. He reported some disturbing news. There had been an alien with us all the way. On the Sulaco, on the EEV, and now here, on this planet. 0900 hours. They must have come face to face with the alien in the dark passageways. Andrews liked to send the prisoners into the tunnels to scavenge anything of value. This time, 3 prisoners went out on a routine foraging mission, but only one returned. Only Golic. We found Golic in the kitchen, battered and blood-smeared. He was babbling about a dragon. He told us that the dragon did it. The dragon slaughtered his friends and no one could stop it. To the others, he sounded quite crazy, but I knew he was telling the truth. 1000 hours. I was confined to the infirmary after telling Andrews about the alien. He thought I was crazy. I didn't want to tell Clemens what I knew. Not yet. We were spending quite a bit of time together, and I rather enjoyed his company. I didn't want him to think I was insane. Silently, it dropped down from the ceiling of the infirmary. I could only watch in horror as it rose to its full height, poised for attack, just behind Clemens. I couldn't call out to warn him of the danger. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. Nothing but air. In a matter of seconds, the alien attacked Clemens. Everything happened so quickly and quietly, he didn't have time to defend himself. It didn't really matter. He couldn't have defeated it anyway. But Clemens's body didn't seem to be enough to satisfy it. The alien came after me. The alien crept closer to me. So close, I could feel its breath on my face. I couldn't scream, I couldn't even move. Then Golic spoke to it. The beast turned and looked at him, then back at me. Without another sound, it just disappeared into the overhead air shaft. It snatched up Superintendent Andrews right in front of us all, right up through the ceiling. And before that it was Clemens. Andrews thought I was making it all up. He didn't believe me when I told him that the alien was here, and it was dangerous. 1100 hours. Somewhere in the intricate maze of air ducts and passageways lurks the alien. The installation is over 10 miles square with over 600 air ducts. So many places for it to hide. Too many. But it won't go far. It likes to be near its food supply. 1300 hours. We had no leader, no weapons, no way to fight it. Our only hope was to trap it inside a huge toxic waste disposal. It was the only place without air ducts. But we had to get the alien out of its hiding place and into the disposal room. 1400 hours. We were all armed with flares, hoping to flush the alien out into the open. One of the prisoners was high up in the vertical air duct before he realized the alien was up there too. That's when he dropped the flare and the passageways exploded into flames. A huge fireball tore through the passageways when one of the prisoners dropped a flare onto the flammable quinitracetylene. The alien rose up in front of us from out of the flames, its huge shape distorted by the heat. Fire didn't seem to harm this one. Eric was right. It looked just like Satan. 1500 hours. Just when we thought we were safe, the alien appeared from an overhead air duct. Junior quickly lured the alien into the toxic waste disposal, sacrificing his own life. And Dylan reached the control box just in time to close the triple doors and trap the alien, and Junior, inside. 1700 hours. I left Golic under guard by Morse. Golic was still bound in a straitjacket and was ranting about the dragon he had seen. I remember what he said when we were in the infirmary with the alien, just after it had killed Clemens. He told it, "I want to be your friend." 1800 hours. Dylan was my only chance to help me kill the alien. Before long, the company would arrive to capture it and take it back. They would never kill it. But before we could decide on a plan, Morse interrupted us with some shocking news. Golic had released the alien. 2000 hours. I startled it from its nest inside the infirmary air ducts. My only weapon, a heavy lead pipe, was useless. The alien batted it out of my hand like a matchstick, then crept toward me. But it didn't attack. I didn't think it would. Not when I had its queen gestating inside me. 2200 hours. The new plan was to flush it out of the passageways into the leadworks, then drown it in hot lead. We only had one thing to use as bait to coax the alien out of hiding: ourselves. The 13 remaining prisoners would lead it into the leadworks. I'd take it from there. 200 hours. Day 3. I heard Kevin give his signal. Door C9 closed. Then Jude. Door B7 safe. Someone else shouted that the V-channel was secure. They were slowly driving the alien toward the leadworks. But then I heard screams. Chaos. Something must have gone wrong. The screams had died down to mere echoes and hushed, panicky voices. Dylan went to investigate, carrying only an axe. He reported that one of the prisoners had been killed, badly mangled. Dylan had come across the body in one of the side corridors, but there was no sign of the alien. I could hear Jude screaming, but I couldn't tell where he was. The lights flickered and dimmed, leaving the main corridor very dark. All they had to do was lead the alien to us. But with the poorly operating electronic doors and the miles of twisting passageways, anything could happen. I caught sight of Dylan trying to rescue Kevin. The alien had a death grip on Kevin and was pulling him up into the air duct. Dylan grabbed Kevin's legs, attempting to pull him to safety in a warped game of tug-of-war. But Kevin was too badly injured. He didn't make it. The alien appeared in the main corridor, slowly stalking Dylan and me. It was bigger than any of the others I'd seen, and the legs were different, but it was still an efficient predator. It had already gotten most of the others. Gregor, Williams, Jude, Kevin, Eric. Were we next? 300 hours. Dylan rounded the corner just as I was confronting the creature. As the alien crept closer to us, Dylan knew I was his only chance for survival. He grabbed me, holding me hostage. He used me as his shield as we inched back to the main corridor, leading the alien closer to the lead mold. The alien was trapped in the lead mold, but so were Dylan and I. There was a huge gantry overhead. Our only chance was to climb out and onto the platform with Morse. I made it to the top and clung to one of the overhead pipes, helplessly watching as Dylan tried to climb to safety. I could see them across the way. They had finally arrived. The Weyland-Yutani commando team charged up the stairs, ready for battle. They were outfitted in full military uniform, and each of them carried a pulse rifle. My question was, were they here to rescue us, or the alien? From out of the shadows came Bishop. The company had sent a Bishop lookalike to gain my trust. He said the company wanted to remove the alien inside me and destroy it. He said they wanted to help me. But what if he was lying? I wanted to believe him, but I couldn't take the chance. If this Bishop was lying, it could mean that the alien would never be destroyed. I knew what I had to do. Now, as this series of datalogs concludes, you may ask yourself, how exactly could Ripley be typing these out, at least from an in-universe perspective? I don't think it's entirely far-fetched if you consider these as written in bulk when time permitted. The times are all approximations, of course, and we know Ripley had access to the comm room about halfway through the movie. She didn't have the access codes to correspond with Weyland-Yutani, but surely she could have written out these datalogs either internally in the event someone found the computer, or even on a network she did have access to. This would make enough sense, at least up to the point where the survivors enact their plan to lure the alien through the leadworks. It's very doubtful and rather silly to imagine her running back to the comm room every few minutes to live blog the bait and chase. And obviously she couldn't backtrack and submit these logs after the fact, since she dies. So who could have actually written these? The only logical answer, I suppose, would be Morse. Perhaps if the logs were sent to a network that Ripley did have access to, she could have given him the codes for that very quickly, and he would have known what to do. Complete the logs, finish the story. After all, it has been established that Morse wrote his own accounts of Fury 161, the book titled Space Beast, and maybe looking over Ripley's datalogs inspired him to do so. You never know. There's also a moment where Ripley asks Morse, "Will you help me?" To which he responds, "What do you want me to do?" And the action cuts away from their exchange. Maybe, just maybe, the datalogs were mentioned there in that brief moment. Or maybe it was just a fun way to present these trading cards, and that's perfectly fine too. Much like the comic book adaptation and the novelization of the film, it's clear the story presented by the trading cards was working on an earlier version of the script. They offered a glimpse into the missing scenes long before the assembly cut finally released, and long before any work print footage could be found in the dark corners of the internet. Moments like Ripley being found by Clemens on the beach, the successful capture of the alien, and Gallic letting it loose, all absolutely nowhere to be found in the theatrically released version of the film. These were little breadcrumbs that led to what would eventually become the assembly cut of the film. Yet, there was more, some moments not even found in that cut. Gallic calling out to the alien, asking to be its friend, which does appear in the comic adaptation. And Ripley's encounter with the alien in the basement. We know there's a little bit more of that, which didn't find its way into either version of the film. Still, to this day, there's footage we just haven't seen. Still some breadcrumbs to follow. For anyone watching who may have lived through the 90s trading card heyday, did you ever own any of these Alien 3 trading cards? Did the information on the missing scenes intrigue or just plain confuse? I'd love to hear from you, so please comment below if you want to share some trading card nostalgia. And as always, I'd like to thank you very much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and be sure to subscribe for all the latest videos from the channel. A very special thanks goes out to Brandon James, Grizz4756, Ronni Jensen, and XenoShadowMorph, Queen Tiers of the Patreon Hive. Thank you to Gregory Ford and John Griggs, the Hive's Praetorians. A very special thanks goes out to Lady Anne in the Ellen Ripley tier of Excellence. And in the role of Weyland-Yutani executives, Michael Cole, Nicholas Butta, and Wesley A. Weaver Jr. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory over social media. Follow @alien_theory on Twitter and @alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.